Serious Redditors who have slept with your friend's parents. How did that happen? How was it like with the parent/friend afterwards? Did your friend ever find out?
Silent scan.
Started going out with a best friend's mother when I was younger, turned into a 2-year relationship. My friend got used to it eventually, along with the rest of his family. My family hated it. My mom made me move out, etc.
Silent scan.
His parents had just broken up, but for some reason she stayed temporarily while her new BF got an apartment. Saturday night, bonfire. Drank too much, stayed up late 2 AM, smoking alone, and she came out. Nothing weird because she is a smoker and a night owl. Stood next to me before asking to sit on my lap. I made eye contact with her and she just started making out with me. Ended up ducking her in my friend's bed while he slept on the couch. I vowed to never speak of it again. Additional info, she was a 7 and the type to wear a Abercrombie shirt still at 40 years of age.
Silent scan.
When I was 18, but still in high school, I had a threesome with a married couple I met online. My first threesome. We had good fun, so I came back over again soon for more of it. After the sexy times had ensued, I glanced up at their living room wall and saw school pictures of a girl I knew, not exactly friends, but acquaintances, and had been in the school system with since middle school. Dawning realization of horror. It did not stop me from hooking up with them more. It did eventually come up in conversation that I knew their daughter. They weren't too thrown off by it. The mother ran into me at our high school graduation and congratulated me. High school was weird times.
Silent scan.
I was about 19 at the time, and I was training to go into the military, so I would constantly go running in preparation for basic. A few of my friends who were also in the program wanted to join me, so we would frequently meet up during the week to go, and quickly became good friends as a result. I met Tiffany at her house one day to help her move some things out of her house because her ship date was getting closer and no one else would help her. That's when I met her. Tiffany's mom. When I first met her, I could feel instant attraction towards her. Not only because of her looks, but because of her personality. She was getting a stripper pole installed in her house for exercise purposes. So, being 19 at the time and my teenage body vigorously coursing with testosterone, I thought that was the hottest thing ever. The more I was over there, the more I noticed that my constant stares were being returned by her mom. This continued on for a couple of weeks with occasional flirting and subtle advances until my friend's ship date arrived. In order for me to move on to the next part of the story, I have to explain how the whole process of leaving for the military works. So the night before your ship date, they put you up in the nearest hotel closest to MEPS, and the day after you process, swear in and ship out. Her mom wanted to get a room in the same hotel so she could be there for her in the morning, and she invited me to come along with her. Of course I accepted her invitation. We all hung out in Tiffany's mom's room until Tiffany's curfew came and forced her to go and left us alone. We bought a alcohol. Well, she bought us alcohol, and after a few drinks and some not so subtle advances, we had sex. It was the best sex I have ever had to date. After that night we hooked up a few more times, but it ended soon after. I don't think Tiffany ever found out, but I'm not sure. I'm 23 now, and haven't really talked to her since.
Silent scan.
Mom and daughter. When I was 18, I hung around this cute girl that was new at school for our last year. I would give her rides to and from school because she knew me from a mutual friend before she transferred to my school. I always had a crush on her, but she was pretty far out of my league. It was a friend zone kind of thing, but I didn't really care. Anyway, we were pretty inseparable for a period of time. I would hang out on her front porch and her mom would always come out and talk with us. She was really attractive. Long blonde hair, slender, and had that sexy raspy voice. I would always joke with her mom in the room about her mom being hot, and since she was recently divorced, so I think she liked the self-esteem boost. Probably a year after we had stopped hanging out so frequently, I asked the girl if she wanted to go to my friend's party that he was having in the middle of a cornfield. She agreed to go with me, and we got a chance to catch up on the way over. I must have been abnormally funny or charming that night because she was laughing at every dumb joke and really flirting with me the whole way over. While we were on a dark country road, she leaned over and kissed me while simultaneously rubbing her hand on my crotch. It caught me off guard as I didn't know she was even into me like that. I pulled over off the side of the road, shut my car off, and made out with her/poked around downstairs. She told me that she wanted to hold off on going further, but we still made out and groped each other throughout the rest of the night. Nothing ever really came of it after that, but we still remained good friends. Fast forward another year and my buddy and I end up at her mom's house because he now had a fling with this girl. She had a couple friends over, guys and girls, but then later on in the night her mom was dropped off from the bar. This was the first time I had seen her mom since I used to come over back in school, and she immediately remembered me and was more than happy to see me. We all swam in their pool, drank some more. Her mom jokingly kissed me on a dare in front of her, and the girl freaked out and pulled her off of me. So after that her mom kept her distance from me for the rest of the night because I think she may have known that she was crossing a line with her daughter. Later on, everyone passed out and my friend went to bed with this girl. I went out on the deck to smoke a cigarette before passing out, and about 2 minutes later her mom followed me out. Without saying a word to me, she straddled my thigh. She was wearing a sundress, and I could feel that she wasn't wearing any underwear as she straddled my leg. Let's say she was ready to go. She pushed my head into her breasts and began grinding my thigh. Basically after that I did her mom from behind over the balcony and again in her bed. Her daughter doesn't know about it at all to my knowledge, unless my friend told her. Didn't happen again after that, but I never really found myself in that position again either.
Silent scan.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to get even more awesome content. Come on, it just takes 1 second.
Silent scan.
Was just getting on hookup websites and seeing the vast amount of men out there who also like men. Ended up ducking my girlfriend's dad. Never told her, years later, she's the type that'd find it hysterical. Bonus story, she was a lesbian, I was gay, both of us used each other as covers without realizing.
Silent scan.
My friend's mom was in an open relationship with her husband. They were always the cool parents. They were the parents who let us drink at their house when we were all 16 to 17. They taught us the do's and don'ts of getting drunk. They were basically our partying mentors. Anyway, my friend's mom had always told me how cute she thought I was and would joke about how she couldn't wait until I turned 18. I would flirt back occasionally, and one night we did some hand stuff while my friend was sitting 3 feet away. She never found that out. Lol. So the day before my senior year in high school I decided I didn't want to be a virgin anymore. I text her and ask if she wants to hang out. She says sure and picks me up in the family minivan. We drive a little ways away, put the seats down in the back, smoked a bowl, listened to Kid Cudi, then we ducked. I got the best head I've ever had to this date, and there was no awkwardness afterwards. We even hooked up a couple more times. My friend had always told me, if anything happens between you and my mom, just please don't tell me. Which I totally understood. I wouldn't want to hear about any of my friends banging my mom. So 2 years later she finds out, and luckily it hasn't affected our friendship whatsoever. We still joke about it today.
Silent scan.
Pasted from the last time I answered this question. Obviously a throwaway. I ducked one of my best friend's mom for about a year. Her husband was cool with it and a bit jealous she was doing an 18-year-old and he wasn't. I'm going to be a bit guarded with details, but she ran a business that involved traveling around parts of the country, and I was employed by her. Because I was out of school and an employee, her son never put 2 and 2 together. I would travel with her and stay in hotels with her, so it was the perfect cover. I don't really know how it started, but she and I hit it off. She asked me once if I wanted a blowjob or to be made love to. She's the only woman that has ever successfully sucked me after completion. It was ducking wonderful. Most awkward moment was definitely when she said, "That's where Johnny came from," as I stuck it in her box. It's been almost 20 years now. You know that saying about older women really knowing what they are doing? Totally ducking true.
Silent scan.
I was close with two females, sisters, when I was younger, 17 to 22, and their mother was very attractive and looked like she was of their age. One night, during a small party at their place, the mother asks if I would drive her to the gas station to grab some mixers for our alcohol. She was the type who would hang and drink with her children and children's friends. I oblige, and on the way back she flat out asks me if I want a blowjob. I respond, "I'm sure." She proceeds, and I make sure to drive extra slow to prolong the experience, which is surreal. That was that, and we acted none too oddly back at the party. Later that evening, as people start falling asleep and whatnot, she grabs my hand and pulls me into her bedroom. Door locked behind us, we have sex. It was phenomenal. At one point, one of her daughters knocks on the door, one of my friends, and my heart nearly explodes from shock/fear. Fortunately, she is not too persistent. We hear her walk back downstairs, and we continue our sexual endeavor until the early morning. We never spoke of it, though a rumor did surface at one point in the future a few months later. We admitted that I slept in her room, but because there was a particularly forward male at the party who also stayed overnight, and the mother was worried he may try to force himself onto her, hence my sleeping in the bedroom as a guard.
Silent scan.
I have a friend that's a few years younger, and went to her graduation party. While there I hung out with her and her family, whom I had known for ages, and commented to her mom, whom we will call Anne, was looking good. And had started working out, and was looking fit after her last relationship ended. Anyway, Anne and I had always gotten along well, so I was just being courteous and honest, but it was true. Anne took it well, and we flirted a little, but I was oblivious, I was just having fun. When I got home, Anne and I started shooting some messages back and forth, and quickly I realized what was going on. I'm slow. I never turned her away, because I liked what she was selling. So that summer I dropped by a little more frequently, and sometimes I happened to come by when my friend was at work or otherwise away and just hung out with Anne. It worked out well for a summer.
Silent scan.
My friend, N, was a few years younger than me, and we always used to party at her house with her parents. Her dad died suddenly on his way to work one day. Another friend and I began to help out around the house to ease their burden while they mourned. A few days after the funeral, her mom wanted to try to keep on as normal by having a bunch of her daughter's friends over for some drinking and fun. During the party, the mom and S, the best friend of N, began making pretty suggestive comments towards me. This wasn't really that far from normal behavior, so I just laughed it off. About 30 minutes later I was summoned into the house by S under the guise of needing to talk to me about something in private. As I walk into the bathroom to find the mom in there, I hear S closing the door behind me. They ask me if I wanted to have a threesome. Really? Duck, yeah, I do. I pull S close and we begin to kiss as the mom starts rubbing my pants. Her moans acknowledging the growing tightness in my pants. I unzip my pants while switching my attention to mom. We begin to kiss as S lowers herself. Knock knock. Mom, I know you are in there with it, Tim. What are you doing? Open the door. After a very awkward exit from the tiny bathroom for the three of us, I begin to feel bad about what was going on. Since I knew the mom was drunk, and I have absolutely no sense of self-control, I told them to just make sure I wasn't left alone with her. For the rest of the night, everywhere I went she would follow, which was always followed by her daughter yelling for her to come back. You would think the story would end there, but then my choice in usernames would be lame. Later that night, S and I found our way to the master bedroom. We knew that no one would be looking for us, since all the attention was being occupied by the mom. A good 30-minute adventure left us asleep and naked on the bed. After drinking for another hour or so, and the party dying down, I passed out on a couch in the family room. I was awakened in a daze about 3 hours later by the mom pulling at my arm. I was still pretty drunk, and not grasping the situation as she pulled me towards the bedroom. When I finally became aware of what was happening, I found the mom naked on the bed, while I was standing in front of her just going to town. Less than 2 feet away from her was S, still passed out naked. I made sure to grab a bob on both of them at the same time, technically making it a threesome. After I got done with the mom, I immediately left. I didn't go over there again for about a year, but I have been there close to 10 times since. Each visit culminating with my dick in her mouth. The most recently of which was 2 weeks ago. Her kids have no idea.
Silent scan.
Me and a few of my friends went to hang out and drink at this girl's house. Her mom would always chill with us too. We were just chilling on the deck and her mom kept staring at me with these sex eyes. So I went up to her and asked if she wanted to go upstairs and do a couple lines of coke with me. So we went upstairs, did the coke and ducked. Then a few months later I ended up ducking the daughter too. The best part is they are related to one of my best friends, so after I banged the daughter I called him and told him I was working my way through his family and asked for his sister's number. He hung up on me. Me and him are still pretty close. I haven't seen the mom or daughter in a while.
Silent scan.
I ducked my ex-girlfriend's mom and got her parents divorced. I posted this in another thread before. Okay, so this was last year and I was dating this girl for a few months and she was cheating on me for about half of it. She had this smoking hot MILF of mom and a dad who was a police officer. For some reason all of my girlfriend's dads have been cops and would work late at. So I'll start from dinner. My ex-girlfriend dad got called in half was through dinner and told my ex and her mom that he would be home the next day. So after dinner we were sitting in the living room watching a scary movie when my ex gets up all of a sudden and says she's going to Walmart. Turns out she went to hook up with that other guy. So it's me and her mom sitting there watching the movie when a jump scare happened and she hid her face in my lap. Yeah, I thought it was weird too. I had a massive banger at the time and she feels it on her face but doesn't move. Instead she slowly starts to stroke it. 17-year-old me now starting to believe the plot's in pun. One thing leads to another and we are up in their room and I'm just ducking the sheet out of her. So when the act was done I get a text with a picture attached of my ex making out with some other dude. I already knew about her cheating on me and this infuriates me. So while my ex's mom was in the bathroom I put my used condom in her husband's bedside drawer along with a note reading, "Sorry man, she didn't tell me her husband was a fellow officer and this has been going on for a while. I'm not an officer. I wrote that to stop any suspicion of me." Fast forward a week and my ex texted me that her parents go in a huge fight and her dad left. Fast forward 3 months and they get divorced. My ex is crying to me on the phone about how she has to move and how her family is ruined. I stop her because at this point I realize this is when I can deliver my final blow and tell her how I know she was cheating on me and how I don't care for her and her cheating ducked up family and am breaking up with her. Turns out when all of that stuff happens to someone all at once it really ducks them up. Last I heard of her, she dropped out of HS and was dating the guy she cheated on me for, who abuses her and was pregnant. And I couldn't give one duck about her.
Silent scan.
Congratulations, you reached the end of this awesome video. Now, like and subscribe, like we talked earlier, come on.
Silent scan.